There are few cars with the buzz of this sports sedan, the Porsche Taycan, the first all-electric car from the brand known for gasoline engines. It's a new chapter in the company's history. This is not without controversy, right down to the Turbo moniker. I have been covering this car for years. If you remember, I was able to drive the concept car in Malibu, California with Dr. Stefan Weckbach. That was a trip, driving a one-of-a-kind prototype in the hills of Los Angeles. That made me a little bit nervous. Also, went to Atlanta for a full-day workshop on how this works, then to Niagara Falls where it was finally unveiled. It was a simultaneous reveal in North America, China, and Germany. So now I've come full circle back to Los Angeles, where I'm finally going to drive the production car. Normally on press events, we attend a briefing to get up to speed on the vehicle.
Here on the top is the Electrify America stations. They're currently the only charging infrastructure in America that offers charging up to 350 kilowatts. Of course, our car only can take 270.
Then we usually pair up with another rider and swap time behind the wheel. Porsche is sending us solo on this event. I'll experience every minute of the 220-mile drive. We have our choice of the most powerful Taycan Turbo S in white or the Turbo model, no S, in blue, which is what I'm driving. No complaints because,
honestly, on this drive, you're not going to notice any of the power differences unless you're doing launch control, which, I don't know where you can do that on a public road, but...
The Turbo, which of course doesn't have one, pumps out 616 horsepower and 626 pound-feet of torque. The Turbo S has 616 horsepower and 774 pound-feet. This would be the part where I show you the engine, but Taycan being an electric car, it doesn't have one. It has two electric motors that are very unique and buried, so I can't show them to you. So here's a slideshow for you. The Porsche-designed permanent magnet synchronous motors have hairpin wound solenoid coils, so the copper fill increase is significantly higher. It helps increase power and keep the motors cool. There are two of them. For now, Taycans are all-wheel drive. The 93 kilowatt-hour lithium-ion pack that I'll assume is sourced from LG Chem is shaped so rear passengers get footroom. I'll cover the 800-volt charging later. Taycan has a 2-speed transmission that's used when performance modes are dialed in. Otherwise, it pulls off the line in high gear. All right, let's drive. Ignition on the left, because it's a Porsche. There's no sound, just the glow of the configurable gauge cluster. I hate electronic transmission shift levers. This one is decisive and elegant. Finally, someone gets it right. No simulated gear shifts or paddles, so you know. And here we go. It instantly feels like a Porsche, albeit very quiet. Okay, first 100 yards, first impression. Amazingly smooth. Amazingly smooth, even for an electric car. We're pointed towards the famed Angeles Crest Highway, one of Earth's best automotive playgrounds. Okay, let's see how it does in acceleration. Oof, that does slam you into the back of the seat, quietly and effortlessly. Man. With launch control, 0 to 60 takes 3 seconds flat, according to the conservative Porsche, and this is the slower of the two, and it can be done over and over and over again. I hammered this car as hard as possible on public roads and never felt any kind of performance drop. My GoPro mount is pretty robust. Watch this. Taycan is a very quiet car. Stab the throttle, and pretty much all you get, other than acceleration, is tire noise and wind rushing smoothly over the body. Now, you can get extra motor sound by going into Sport Plus. And I better slow down. Now, that is not synthetic and it's not additive. What the Porsche engineers have done is amplify it and EQ it a little bit. So it is the actual honest-to-God motor sound, just amplified. The structure is bank vault solid. Remember that word bank when I get to price. Let's talk about braking. 90% of it is done through regen, meaning only the last 10%, the real extreme stopping power, is done with the physical brakes, which means that they will last a long time. Now, Porsche does not believe in a one pedal type of setting, so it feels like driving a regular car. Since the brake discs might rust from disuse, the Turbo is outfitted with tungsten carbide treated Porsche surface coated brakes. Fade should never happen, even during hard track driving, and the pedal feel is pretty natural. I'm telling you, you can drive this thing fearlessly. It just goes and goes and goes. Instant torque, great brakes. This is a driver's car. Taycan weighs some 5,100 pounds. And that's not light, folks, but it's carving these roads up like a Thanksgiving turkey. It feels terrific. And you gotta remember, the battery's, of course, in the floor, so the center of gravity is very, very low. This is a hoot to drive. The standard Porsche active suspension management must be working overtime. Standard air suspension raises and lowers the car. Front passengers get a nice glimpse of the voluptuous fender. It's a great visual. Torque? This thing has torque all day long. This is a blast. I really need to make more money. I really do. Yeah, I get it. Some will miss an engine note. Performance cars have always had a soundtrack, but the silence eliminates distractions, and after 10 minutes of hard carving, I found myself picking up on tire noise for clues to what the Taycan was doing. There's an advantage to silence. Know yourself. Because the driving dynamics are so good, you might think the suspension must be very firm and uncomfortable. No, and I'm in Sport Plus, which is the firmest setting, and I could drive cross country. It's that good. Notice that the gauge cluster has no hood. It doesn't need one. It's very clear and readable. Something you won't notice on any other electric car? Because Taycan has a 2-speed transmission that activates in Sport Plus mode, there's a shift point during launch. It's not so much felt as it is heard. Listen. The thrust is like a Disneyland ride. I'll repeat it so you don't have to rewind. All right, gauge says that I'm at 28% of battery life. Oh no, 29%. I'm going downhill, so I'm gaining range. I'm going to easily make it to the recharge stop. I have no range anxiety at all in this car. Nothing. It's great. Chances are you'll start seeing these green monoliths everywhere. Electrify America is part of the Volkswagen Group's penance for the diesel cheat scandal. Taycan has 2 charge ports. No matter if the steering wheel is on the left or right, the driver's side is for home level 2 fill-ups. The door slips inside so vandals can't break it off. The passenger side is for Porsche's 800-volt high-speed charging.
These are the 800-volt chargers, the infrastructure that'll help power the Taycan, and you can tell because down here you'll see the sign that says up to 350 kilowatts.
Okay.
The other option is only 150 kilowatts. I open up the app that shows the location that we're at, and then you can see that we're certainly here at the Walmart in Burbank, California. And then it'll give you the details of all the chargers that are available. So I'll go ahead and click 02.
Okay.
And then you can swipe to start charging. I'm gonna come over here and swipe underneath, then plug in.
That's a hefty cable.
There's a lot of juice going through that cable.
Yeah, no kidding. And I am at 24% charge right now.
You can hear it.
How long will that take to go up to 80%?
So far, haven't seen too much more than 20, 25 minutes. Yeah.
When you buy a Taycan, you get free electricity, right?
Yep. With Electrify America, you get 3 years of 30 minutes.
Okay.
So, and as you'll see, you only need about 20 to 25 minutes of that.
Right.
So I think the 30-minute limit was very strategitic and it's not a hindrance at all.
It's to get people out of the chargers.
Yeah.
Yeah. And most people are going to charge at home.
Yep. This is strictly for, well, primarily for destination charging. While we were at 200 kilowatts for the first 10% or so, it's dropped down to 150, and it'll sit at this level for another few minutes. and then slowly ramp down from there.
And that's to protect the battery.
Yeah.
Like all battery electrics, charging speed depends on the pack's temperature. This one was too cool and not depleted enough to hit 270 kilowatt charging. Doing the math, I figure I'd get 250 miles of range with a full charge, and I wasn't driving like a hypermiling Prius owner. Wow, that is quick. I'm experiencing the future. I like it a lot. You can't get in and out of Walmart for a bag of Cheetos before achieving an 80% fill. Each station has a dedicated voltage line. There's no degradation in power when multiple cars plug in. Well, I've got a couple of minutes while this charges, so let's check out the trunk. My gear pack is about the size of a carry-on suitcase. Eyeballing it, I can probably get 4 of them in here. It's not a huge space. Taycan is a size smaller than Panamera. A travel charge cord stashes here. The seats split and fold, though there are no remote latches. It needs to be done from the back seat. And no ski pass-through, which would be nice in an all-wheel drive car. If you want your electric Porsche with loads of cargo space, the Cross Turismo with more of a wagony backside has been green-lighted, though not sure when it's going into production. Oh, and if you're wondering, yes, there's a frunk. I could get my gear bag in here, and that's about it. A brief tour of the interior. If you want high-quality materials and impeccable craftsmanship in an EV, this is your ride. It's what you'd expect from Porsche. An optional touchscreen that would go here lets passengers input navigation points and other data. The seats are supportive and adjustable for humans of all sizes. Materials are sustainable, and a non-animal cabin is possible. Honestly, I looked for shortcomings in this car all day long. Considering the price, metal door releases would feel much better than these with a very plasticky feel. I'd live with the extra weight, thank you very much. And the center console shape and design make it unusually hard to use. The user interface will be familiar to modern Porsche owners. All of the screens can be configured to suit the user, including handwriting recognition here. The Navi system can guide Taycans towards the nearest charge station. Say, "Hey Porsche," and you'll get a voice assistant like Siri or Alexa. It even works if you say, "Hey Porsche." But come on, people, it's pronounced Porsche. It's the guy's name. I can't fully grade this system because it's not finalized, and yes, Taycan gets over-the-air updates. A quick check in the back seat. I'm 5'9", and I have a good amount of headroom. Knee room is good. Foot room, that leaves a little bit to be desired, even though that the battery pack is carved away to allow for more of it. Thigh support, though, that is excellent. Storage in the doors? Yes. Seat pockets? Nope. You'll get a nice warm feeling from the seats. Taycan is a 4-seater. This is storage, and it's very comfortable if you don't have large feet or wear big boots. The door openings aren't huge, so keep your child seat on the smaller side, and considering the price, owners can afford new ones. That brings me to the cost of this EV. Excellence does not come cheap, people. The turbo model that I drove begins at $152,000. The highest performance Turbo S model starts at $186,000. I'm spending little time and energy comparing this to a Tesla Model S or 3 because the Porsche is a different experience and clearly a premium one. Is it worth the price of admission? Well, only you can make that decision. A tip: the 4S model might be less potent, but its starting price is nearly $50,000 less, and you still shouldn't use all of its performance on public roads. It's been a long time coming, but Porsche Taycan is a brilliant machine, one that will rapidly and stealthily work its way into enthusiasts' hearts. I'll touch on level 2 autonomy. Taycan has it, but I wasn't in a situation to test it once I thought about doing that. I've found Porsche's system to be quite good in the past. Frankly, I feel like the most confident system these days is Cadillac's Super Cruise, which is rock solid for miles and miles of hands-free driving on LiDAR-mapped highways. And yes, I've used the newest version of Autopilot. I'm not overly impressed. Now, some of you have mentioned you're going to set up a Buy Tom a Porsche GoFundMe page. In case you're thinking about doing that, I think this is the one I want. It's really remarkable. Let's not forget, more and more EVs like the Ford Mustang Mach-E are coming. If you haven't driven an electric, you don't know what you're missing. Full disclosure, I normally shoot all of my video, but there wasn't time for me to do my own running footage, so I relied on Porsche's photography group for that. It's why it looks a little different.
All right, I hope you got something out of my look at the all-new 2020 Porsche Taycan. Between the car itself and the charging system, it's really, truly amazing. Too bad that the waiting list is so long. But you could always look at a different electric car. Once you experience it, my guess is you'll never go back. I know I feel that way. That's Driven. I'm Tom Voelk.